Hi, this is Nancy Schick, attorney, mediator, and conflict resolution coach in New York City. My goal is to keep you out of court and build your conflict resolution skills. And I've been addressing some of the questions that have come to me, even though you're probably looking at me and like, what do I know about racism? And people come to me, I would say often it's what white people come to me in particular because I'm white, right? It's sometimes easier for people to come and work through some of their own biases and be confronted with difficult conversations with someone that looks a little like them but has some training. And I do have my Ethno-Religious Mediation certification, and I spent 2 years over at the UN learning how to put aside worldviews so that I could hear the full range of conflicts and what's important to people. And I think it's pretty consistent what people need, right? We relate in different cultures, but ultimately, I think there are just so many more commonalities than there are differences. So that's where I come from. And a lot of people will come to me because of that, because it's easier for them to talk to me and feel like they could maybe make a mistake and say the wrong thing. And so what I often will do is I will present the various arguments for or against, and we look at it as a mediator would, right, and a lawyer from every angle to say, here's what a Black woman might think about what you just said. Here's what's hurtful about that. Here is what I understand you might have some support for that belief. Let's talk about where you are. And we use the third-year conflict resolution process kind of informally in those ways. I'm learning to do that more and more because people are just where they are. And it's me wanting to be of service, and I'm inviting you to also reach out. So the big question that people get then is how do I do this with someone in my life who is a racist? So tip number one is don't label them a racist. I personally don't believe that anyone is racist to the core. I think that behavior is racist. Systems can be racist, institutions, right? But it's more behavior that we want to address. And behavior, luckily, can be modified relatively easily. So I say start there. It's a lot less overwhelming, too, if you think that you have to completely change a person and stop loving them because they do some things that are really hurtful. And you may ultimately find that you need to remove yourself from this relationship with an individual. But I say definitely start with just addressing individual behaviors. Have conversations about the kinds of things that are said or done that concern you. So that's tip number one, is set aside the racist label, then talk to them about why they feel that way. What gives them the support for a belief, for example, that Black people are this or white people are that, Asian, et cetera, right? Like we have all these stereotypes, and sometimes it's what we find out is that it's just something that we've carried forward, that we adopted. We didn't even realize that we adopted it, and it's somebody else's belief. And maybe we don't even believe it, really. We just got in the habit of saying it. That's a possibility. And then third, do that, explore, like, where did that come from? Do you really believe that? Do you understand why that could be hurtful? And just have a real conversation. What I've been doing is talking to people about, well, if that were true, how does that affect you? What is it you fear? What feels threatened for you? What is this bringing up in your life? And what I've found is that, people have said, well, it can sometimes be something that distracts me from having to deal with my own life, because I did all the things that I thought I was supposed to, and now I'm not really succeeding. And now I see somebody else might get something that I don't, right? And there's that. So we know humans are competitive. I've been watching the Discovery Why We Hate series, and there's a lot of scientific evidence about how humans will become competitive and hateful. But we have the ability to overcome that. And that's why I do the work that I do, because I really believe that most of us want to love each other and we want to live in harmony and unity. But what happens more than likely is something feels threatened. And when that threat occurs, that amygdala, that part of our brain back here that does that fight or flight, response, will get triggered. And then, Robert Kiyosaki says, when our emotions go up, our intelligence goes down. So we don't always act rationally. And what I'm asking you to do is just slow down, be more mindful, don't react, spend more time with yourself, getting clear on what you feel around things, and then be able to approach someone in a way that seeks to understand. I have a whole process for this. I do have a book, et cetera. I have a course, and I do one-on-one coaching. So I'm here for you. I know we can get through this. And in the meantime, just keep listening for those hurts that you can heal. This is what I call third ear listening, right? You listen with your heart. You listen with compassion, and you listen for the other human being, even when they're yelling at you, even when they're saying things that hurt, even when they say things that scare you. But really stand firm in love whenever you can. Now, there are times you're going to have to remove yourself to protect yourself, and that's totally okay. But come back in where you can. We need you. And again, I'm here for you. Stay strong.